Hey guys, I'm Spencer Forbes. I'm here to show you how to clean a pool. Open this up here. We're not gonna open it completely. We're gonna just back our vacuum right up to the pool. Now the first step with cleaning a pool, every single time, we're gonna brush it down. We're gonna brush only the tile. This pool has a coping on it, so we wanna take the brush and dig the corner of the brush up under the coping as we're brushing. Always get the spas as well. Like to take the brush and brush the bottom of the spa to see what's in there. You can see a little bit of sand. We'll put the vacuum in there. Brush the tile all the way around. And we're gonna come back and we're gonna get the stair. When you brush the stairs, we wanna brush. We gotta pull the brush off the stair and lift up. So that makes a wave of water and it pushes everything into the pool so we can vacuum it. We're gonna continue around. As we're going around, we always wanna find the skimmer box. Then we're gonna pull out our skimmer basket while the pump's still running. And pull out the skimmer basket. When we pull it out, before you get it, you wanna swish it up and down. It's gonna make it easier to empty. We're gonna leave it right there. We're gonna take our brush off. Always wanna leave your brush next to the vacuum. Then we're gonna go ahead and set up our vacuum with the brush pull. After we put our vacuum on, it's time to net, but we can't net the pool unless the pool is turned off. So we're gonna turn it off and then we're gonna go ahead and empty the pump basket then. The pump's right here. Then we have the timer box. Sometimes it's harder to find. The easiest way to find the timer box is to look at the wire coming off the back of the pump, and we're gonna follow that down. This wire is gonna lead right into the timer box. We're gonna turn it off. So now we're gonna empty our pump basket. When we do this, show you a little trick. So you can see this stuff in there. Some of it's in the grids right there. A good little trick is you wanna swish this basket up and down. And then it's gonna put all that stuff at the bottom instead of here in the grids. Then you wanna find a flat surface and hit this down. It always has to be a flat surface. So now we emptied our pump. You always wanna make sure you clean off the grass wherever it is. We never wanna leave it on the equipment deck or anything like that. If it is, we wanna brush it off. Put in the basket, make sure it's in there correctly. This should always be in the front at the hole. This is where you check your O-ring, make sure it's lubed up, there's not any grass or anything on it. We're gonna put our pump lid on. We're gonna leave it off. Now, if we were gonna clean the filter, now would be the time to do so. In case anything from the filter blows back into the pool, we'll have a chance to clean it. Now we're gonna net the pool. This is a Purity Pools white silt net. First thing we wanna do is mow the lawn on top is the technique we say. So we're gonna work the net back and forth. We wanna always go across the pool. And we're basically netting to the middle of the pool. So we're gonna walk your hands down the pole to get out, and then we're gonna come back, walk your hands back. The net should always be right out in front of you. And you can see everything to the right is clean, and we're pushing everything that's dirty over to the left, right into the net. And this net should always be right in front of you. You're taking a step over every time you turn it around, coming back towards you. It's okay if you miss something. You always want to work in one direction. We're going to make multiple laps around the pool. An outdoor pool like this is going to typically take 3 laps to make sure it's spotless. You can see I'm not overextending the net, I'm just working to the middle of the pool. You want to always, on the last lap around the pool, you always want to empty your skimmer basket into your net. You don't want to empty it right away because then it's going to make your net heavy to net the top of the pool. Same thing, if we swish it out, it makes it a little easier on us. Always want to have a flat surface with your net where we're going to hit it on. Then you want to make sure this actually goes down where it needs to go. Sits in there. We're always going to clean the pool from top to bottom. Start on the tile, then the top of the water. Now we're going to vacuum, we're going to get the bottom. With the Riptide Vacuum, you have this yoke here. If you turn it and then you push it the opposite direction of this yoke is the easiest way to pull it out of there. I always turn it on after I put the vacuum in so you don't have as much of an air bubble in there. Now we're gonna do the same thing with the vacuum as we do with the net. We're gonna vacuum every inch of the bottom going all the way down. So when you're doing an outdoor pool like this, you wanna have the pole as long as possible so you can get all the way across the pool. And you wanna ride the vacuum up the little ridge on the other side to make sure you get everything. This keeps the cord from getting all tangled up and having to be unraveled every single time. When you're vacuuming a curve like this, you want to pull the vacuum into the curve instead of pulling it beside the curve. You won't get all the stuff on that ledge right there. So we want to pull it up into it. As we're going to pull out the vacuum, we never can pull out the vacuum like this. I'll say that again. We'll never pull out the vacuum with the pole fully extended. It'll bend the pole. So we want to put this all the way in. Then we're gonna pick it up, work your hands down the pole. You wanna carry it right here. It's the easiest spot to carry it. The spa, you just wanna work it around. We've already brushed the steps, so everything's gonna be down here in the bottom. Okay, so we're done with the vacuum. We always want to walk our vacuum back to the cart. We're going to take our pole off here. Then we're going to use our pole to pull in the cord so that the cord can dry while we're finishing up the pool. You always want to do at least one step to let this cord dry, whether it's brushing, running around with the net. We always want to brush the pool right after the vacuum comes out. The vacuum's the easiest step. You're barely moving, breaking a sweat, and it gives us a chance to see if there's any algae in the bottom before we do the chemicals so we can account for it. Now we're gonna brush the pool. I like to keep it up like this. Before we brush, we want to turn the pool back on to get that main drain running to pick up any dust that we're gonna brush to it.
Make sure the timer is on the correct time.
You always want to close this box. Make sure it always closes and locks. Now we're gonna brush the pool. You wanna extend your pole if you can. We're gonna go in diagonal brush strokes. So we're gonna work on the bottom first. Same thing like the netting, we're only gonna brush to the middle of the pool. As you brush, you're gonna take a step every single time. Gonna work down the side of the pool right here. We're gonna get every inch. If this pool was green, you gotta brush every inch of it, and this is exactly how you do it. Diagonal strokes, walk with the brush. So as we make our last stroke, we're gonna work back on the walls here. Diagonal strokes, going down the wall. And it sets us up perfectly to go on the bottom here. Do diagonal strokes again. Down and up, down and up. You can see this is a little trick. Some of you pool guys at home are probably wondering about that. That's my R13, my cyanuric acid solution. You can see I like to keep my stabilizer tester in here. So what I'll do is I'll actually put it in the water, let that float up to the surface, give it a little squeeze, and then you got your stabilizer set up, and then you got your first test. Take my stabilizer, my R13, fill it up. So this is a 50 to 50 solution, so depending on wherever the water level is where we fill it up. We just double that with the solution. So it doesn't have to be exactly to that line, just we want it close. So this is the chlorine test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the R1, this is R2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we can see the chlorine's low. And do the pH test. This is R4. You want to swirl it slightly as you're dropping it. So there we go. The chlorine is the slightest shade of pink. So I mean, it's really too low to even read. We would guess it's like a 0.25. It's just a little higher than a 0, basically. The pH, what we do to test the pH is we use the acid demand test, and we see how many drops it takes to lower it to a 7.6. Easiest to see, if it goes to a 7.4, you can distinguish that a lot easier between a 7.4 and a 7.6. That's one drop. You want to swirl it all the way down. So you can see we're a lot closer here to the 7.6. We'll do one more just to be sure. We want to see this brown color for the 7.4. So there we go, there's your 7.4. So it's going to be one drop of acid demand. And our booklet will tell us exactly how much to add per drop, depending on the size of the pool, how many gallons it is. We're gonna take our index finger and we're gonna push it all the way to the bottom, and it should give us the water line around the 25. We're gonna use 2 drops of R7. 1, 2, swirl. We'll do 5 drops of R8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So all these reagents will stain the deck if we get it on there. This especially, as well as the R4. So if you do get any on the deck, you want to make sure you splash it off and rub it immediately. So there's our test. Each one of these drops is going to equal 10 for the alkalinity. So that's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. See, we get this color right here. We want to make sure this color doesn't change. If it changes, we'll count it. If it doesn't change, then it'll be a 70. And we got a slight change. So now every drop, so we're at 80, 90, and the color didn't change. We could do this all day long, and that color will never change. So it's always, once you get that first red, you always want to just check it and put one more drop and see if the color changes. If the color doesn't change, then you're going to count the last one where it did change. So now we're going to do our stabilizer test. There's a little dot in the bottom of here, and we're gonna make that dot disappear. Then we're gonna turn it around, and based off the water line, we're gonna know exactly what the stabilizer is. Stabilizer's the sunscreen for pools here in Florida. It's really important, especially since we just got almost a 0 for the chlorine. We know something might be up with the stabilizer, and the stabilizer, or the chlorine's burning off quicker because the stabilizer may be too low. You can see the dot is almost disappeared. So we're gonna, you can see it's gone. So that haziness in the water and the test down there is good. We want to see that, and then we're gonna flip it around right here, and then it's right at a 60. Which is like where we want it. We're running tabs on these pools. Every tab we put in has stabilizer. We don't want to bring the stabilizer too much because then we can't use the tablets. So when we put in our test kit, these tabs always have to be on the bottom so they don't break off like this test kit did. We're gonna put it in, so this is always gonna be on the top side right here. Then we're gonna put our vacuum on. I always pick up the vacuum by the net right here. It's the easiest way. Give it a little knock. The yoke has to be pointing back towards you, and this goes clockwise around here. You wanna have a little bit of looseness in there, but really you're making nice, beautiful coils. This hand is always gonna run through the line as we're pulling it. So we got this loop in here. We're gonna have to twist it out. So we're actually gonna flip the entire coil over. So as we're adding the chemicals, we always wanna back the cart up right to the pool, because this in here, this chemical tray in here is gonna have chlorine on the bottom of it from just dripping and everything else. So when we pull it out, we want one fluid motion going towards the pool. And that's anything that's on the bottom is gonna go into the pool then. Adding chemicals, we always wanna add it in front of a jet. When we add the chlorine, normally I'll have the cap in my hand. I'll put it right here in the middle. Like I said before, the bottom's gonna have chlorine on it, so we don't wanna touch the bottom. Right here, make a fulcrum and go over your hand. And that's the easiest way to pour chlorine without getting it on your hands. You get every drop. So now we're gonna add the acid. We never wanna add the acid right on top of where the chlorine is. We wanna find another jet in the pool and pour it in there. With the acid, we do it off the acid demand test. A good rule of thumb is for a 10,000 gallon pool or around, every drop that we do for the acid demand, the R005, we're gonna use a fingertip of acid for that. So we did one drop to get it to a 7.6, so we're gonna put in one fingertip of acid. See, we have it in front of this jet. And a little bit more. Perfect. Now we're gonna add some tablets. I like to use the brush to get these. Pull it over to you. When you pull this out, this has chlorine in it, which we desperately need in this pool. So you wanna make sure it drips into the pool and we're not wasting that valuable chlorine. Okay, so with these, we always wanna be gentle with these. Once this lid breaks on this, it's basically useless. We're gonna have to get a new one. If this flips over and the tablets end up in the bottom of the pool, it's gonna leave a nasty stain that kind of looks like a UFO or a flying saucer. It's not something you want, it's not cool. So this is how we roll with the Riptides. We always have at least the bicarb and tablets, or for running stabilizer, we'll have the stabilizer in here. Fits really nicely on these carts, put it right there, but we have our tablets here. We're gonna go ahead and add them. We never actually touch these tablets. You can see the one from last week. Obviously it wasn't enough because we're out of 0, so we're gonna put in 2 this week. And when we do this, you can see those little tabs right there. It's gonna fit right here. We're gonna twist it around to lock it in place. So the really important thing is with these, I've seen it time and time again, this lid is very important not to break. If we throw this into the pool, we're just chancing the lid of breaking. So what we're gonna do is, it's really simple. We're gonna take this and we're gonna set it in the pool. No throwing it. Thank you for watching. I appreciate your time. Now you know how to clean a pool the right way. If you have any questions, put it in the comment section below. I'll be happy to answer them. Take it easy, guys.